Good morning, everyone. Boker Tov and Chodesh Tov. Today marks 600 days since October 7th. 600 days of pain, of tragedy, of funerals, of hostages being held captive until this very day. The Jewish people have never been, since the Holocaust, in more pain and turmoil than the past 600 days. But at the same time, the past 600 days has turned us all into October 8th Jews. We are no longer October 6th Jews. We are now a united nation, literally. We have had 600 days of loving kindness, of generosity, of empathy, of compassion, of solidarity, of unity in an unprecedented way. Today is Rosh Chodesh Sivan, the first day of the month of Sivan. And our rabbis tell us what happened today. The Jewish people came to Mount Sinai and began to prepare to receive the Torah. This day is so important that on Passover, in the Haggadah, when we sang the Dayenu song, we said, one of the stanzas was, Ilu kervanu lefnei har Sinai. Had God brought us to Mount Sinai, velo natan lanu et Torah, and would not have given us the Torah, Dayenu, that would have been enough, that would have been sufficient. And the Ispitzer Rebbe asks, how would that be enough? Coming to Mount Sinai without receiving the Torah, that misses the entire point of coming to Mount Sinai. We only came to receive the Torah from God. How can we say it would be enough, sufficient, if we just arrived here? And he answers by quoting what the rabbis say, that when they came to Mount Sinai today, to the location of Mount Sinai, it says they dwelled ki ish echad, like one person, belev echad, with one heart. And it was in the merit of this unity that the Jewish people attained that they were given the Torah. And therefore the Ishbitzer says, had God brought us to Mount Sinai, even without giving us the Torah, it would have been enough. Why? Because of the love and the unity that we achieved. And today is the day that marks Jewish unity. And over the past 600 days, we've seen the outpouring of kindness and generosity of unity. And we see that this unity that we achieved 3,337 years ago still is part of our nature as a Jewish people. We are still one person with one heart. What other nation has shown such love? Billions of dollars of generosity have poured into Israel. Hundreds of thousands of missions, including from our synagogue. There isn't a Jew who can't open his checkbook since October 7th and see countless donations to multiple causes, because when one Jew is in pain, the entire Jewish people feels that pain and responds. There's no other nation. Think of any other war-torn country. Do you see their fellow citizens around the world pouring in with support and love and unity and generosity? Only the Jewish people. Why? Because what we attained at Mount Sinai still remains our nature. We are one people with one heart, and we act that way over 3,000 years later. And therefore, today is a day to pray for the remaining 58 hostages, to pray for the victory of Israel over its enemies, so the Jewish people can live in peace and security, and at the same time a day of increased kindness and goodness. When we were in Israel just a few weeks ago, we were driving to Tzfat for Shabbat, and we were literally 10 miles away from Tzfat, and it was an hour before Shabbat, and our bus broke down on the side of the road. And the clock is ticking, we have to get to the hotel before Shabbat. The bus driver called a company who found a driver in Tzfat who had already parked his bus for Shabbat. A religious man, he was cooking in the kitchen with his wife and kids, getting ready the last hour before Shabbat, the busiest hour. And he gets a call that there's 35 people from Palm Beach on the side of the road. He threw the towel that he had over his shoulder onto the kitchen table, jumped out the door, ran to get his bus, and came to pick us up. And he literally got us to the hotel a minute before Shabbat. And he was so happy to help us. And I went to thank him, and I offered him some money as a tip for coming to get us and leaving his family right before Shabbat. And he said, no, it's my pleasure. Please, don't give me anything. That's the unity and the love of the Jewish people. I heard a story that just happened recently in Israel. There was a man on a motorcycle by the name of Liron. He was riding on the highway in Israel, and what does he see? A woman with her car broke down on the side of the road. So he pulls over, he says, what's the problem? She says, I have a flat tire. He says, let me help you. spends the time getting out the spear, fixing the car, getting her on the way. She pulls out some money to try to tip him, to thank him. He says, no, please don't. She says, no, I want to give you something. He says, listen, many people have helped me in my life. I'm just passing it on. One day you'll pass it on to someone else. Well, that night the woman went out to a restaurant, and her waitress was working really hard, and she saw that she was exhausted. She seemed like, working extra jobs to make a few dollars or a few shekels. And she remembered what Liron said, one day you'll pass on the kindness. And so when she paid the bill, she included a very generous tip of hundreds of shekels. When the waitress opened up the bill and saw the tip of hundreds of shekels, she couldn't believe it. She was so overjoyed, and she couldn't wait to get home and tell her husband. When she came home late at night after her long shift, her husband was sleeping, but she went into the bedroom to wake him up, to tell him the good news. And she said, Liron, wake up. You're not going to believe it. This woman left me this very large tip for our family, hundreds and hundreds of shekels. Well, yes, it was the same Liron. Her husband was the man who helped this woman on the side of the road, and now the kindness came full circle. Kindness keeps on traveling around and around. The endless acts of kindness that have been performed since October 7th, the love and the generosity, they continue to spread further and further until the goodness and the kindness overwhelms the darkness and the evil. Have a meaningful day. Chodesh Tov. May it be a month of unity and joy.